Hello YouTube, it's Alan. First of all today, I want to start off with a really quick, non-momentous physical update, which is that as the weeks go by, as I continue to be on an increased dose of testosterone, which I talked about in a video from several weeks ago, I have a really increased rate of growth of body hair and facial hair. So it makes me feel like I guess I was kind of on an especially low dose of testosterone for almost all of my transition, even though my testosterone numbers seemed pretty decent. So that's just a little bit frustrating in a sense, um, because, part of me wishes, or not part of me, I mean, I just kind of wish that I had more facial hair. But it's increasing faster now. So like this is like a week or so since I've shaved, and I mean you can see something even from a little bit of a distance, which is satisfying. Um, yeah, so maybe in 6 months I might be sort of caught up to where a lot of people are when they're like 10 months on T. Who knows? Everybody's different with their own different body and DNA. I'm trying to get that fan out of view because I can see how that might irritate you. Um, it's kind of like muggy here today, which is really weird. It's humid and it's cloudy. Like, we almost literally never have cloudy days in the summer here on the coast of California, a little bit inland from the beach, because at the beach they get fog. And there's been thunder and lightning and rain. Very, very unusual. Anyway, but my main topic for today is this experience that I had last week where I went shopping for clothes at a shop that I used to go to a lot with my family when I was like in maybe junior high, high school, back long before I transitioned, when I shopped in the women's section reluctantly. And so I had not been there since then, which was, I mean, I graduated from high school 17 years ago, so it's been a long time. And I had thought about this for a little while, and I thought, I want to do it. I think it would be a cool experience to go shopping there because I feel like we went there a lot to shop for clothes when I was a teenager because it's at the outlets, so it's somewhat inexpensive, and also it's clothes that I am likely to like. Um, so yeah, we went there a lot, but I haven't been there forever. So I thought it would be cool to kind of go back now and shop how I want to shop, and get obviously men's clothes, and just be able to compare that with the past when it just didn't feel so good, to put it mildly, to have to shop for women's clothes. So, yes, I did it last week, and it was a really cool experience and satisfying. I went by myself, because I don't really like shopping with other people, and so it was a weekend, so it was really busy at the outlets, which was probably a mistake, because that just drives me crazy. But anyway, I did it, and I walked in by the women's section, and for this whole experience, I tried to be present and conscious, and to really remember the past, and to be really aware of how things are different now, just so that I wouldn't take it for granted, so that I could really experience how far I've come. Because often these days I do take things for granted. Like, I'm so used to shopping for men's clothes that I don't even think about it. Um, Thankfully, like, since I've started transitioning, I've never had any trouble passing, which is an unearned privilege, I guess you could call it, but that's how it is. So it's easy to just go in, shop, yeah, whatever, take it for granted, no big deal. But I wanted to be really conscious during this experience, so I did. So I looked, just kind of looked over the women's clothes. I didn't like walk through really or anything, but I just kind of scanned. And I tried to think of how I would view it back when I was in high school shopping for women's clothes. Like, which clothes might be a possibility for me back then. Like, like a women's plaid shirt, because that's the kind of clothes they have. Like, plaid shirts, sort of rustic. I guess it might go in the same category as LL Bean, if that means anything to you. um, yeah. Well, so just to give you a quick preview, like this is something that I did get there. A cool plaid shirt. Obviously, it's a men's. And then this long sleeve shirt, which I'm pretty stoked on. So this is the type of clothes that they have. Well, those are the men's, but they have stuff like that for women's. That's more of a women's cut and colors. So yeah, as I was saying, I just kind of scanned the women's clothes and I just thought how thankful I am that I don't have to shop for those clothes anymore or wear them, and that I can look for clothes that I actually like and that actually make me feel good when I wear them. So that experience made me feel thankful and happy that I've come this far. So, yeah, clearly I shopped for some clothes and I tried to be very present and thankful as I shopped. And it was a long time coming, this experience, because back when I was a teenager, when I would shop there, I would think just kind of vaguely in the back of my mind, like, gosh, it sucks that the men get all the cool clothes. And then finally now I got to actually get some. Um, so it was very satisfying. It made me think of how far I've come. Um, I've gone through a lot, clearly, to get to this point. A lot of self-examination, a lot of scary things like coming out to myself, coming out to family, and work, changing my name, getting top surgery, going on testosterone, and all the other things. I mean, it's taken a lot of work and courage. I mean, that makes me think of how a lot of times when one tells people that one is trans, or when they find out, they're like, oh, gosh, you're really courageous. It's like, that's kind of a cliche, and it's like, well, I don't know if I'm courageous because it was either that or just be unhappy. Like, I kind of had to do it. But at the same time, I do think that coming out as any kind of LGBTQ, it does take courage. Even though it is kind of something that you might feel like you have to do, it's scary and you face it, and that is something to be proud of, I think. Um, so, anyway, yeah, I was just reflecting on how far I've come, and I do feel proud of myself for going through all that and getting this far. There's a train going by. That's just an Amtrak, though, so it'll be quick. I can tell the difference. Um, so I felt proud of myself, and I just felt so thankful and so happy that things are how they are at this point, and that I'm living how I want and need to live, and I've got clothes that I really like and that make me feel good. So it was a cool experience. I'm glad I did it. I can't remember if I mentioned the name of the store. Not that that makes any difference, because I did a couple takes of this video, so I can't remember what I said. But it is Bass. Anyway, just one final note. So some people might say, why do you make such a big deal out of clothes? It's just fabric, or like that's materialistic. But I would say that it is not, because clothes have such a powerful influence on how other people view us. And they're so powerful, clothes are so powerful in terms of how we express ourselves. Like, clothes are a powerful way to exercise one's freedom, I think. They're easy to take for granted, but they are powerful. Like, in a lot of, well, not a lot, but in some countries, like some Middle Eastern countries, women, for example, do not have the freedom to dress how they want. And that has a huge impact on their lives, I would imagine, even if they are used to it and don't think about it that much. Um, so it has to do with freedom, and it has to do with being able to be yourself. Like, I'm sure some of you know this. Like, in past times, past decades, like the 1950s, for example, in the United States, or at least in some certain states, you could be arrested for not wearing at least 3 articles of women's clothing if you're a woman, if you're assigned female. And I remember reading about this in the book Stone Butch Blues by Leslie Feinberg. Um, yeah, it's been a long time. So, yeah, so she got arrested, I think, for not wearing 3 articles of women's clothing. So that's a huge deal, you know? Clothing and one's freedom or lack of freedom to wear what one needs or wants to wear, that can really impact your daily experience of living and can experience your psychological health, just to mention one element. So it is a big deal. And I think that trans people, or genderqueer people, or whatever, well, or butch women, etc., probably take clothing less for granted than gender conforming cisgender people do. So if you have never had to, like, sort of break the rules when it comes to clothing, you probably might be likely to think clothing, whatever, it's not a big deal, you're just being materialistic. But when you experience the difficulty or discrimination based on something having to do with your appearance or clothing, like, you realize it is a big deal. So I just wanted to throw that in there. So that's part of what I was thinking about and appreciating when I went on this shopping trip. So, yeah, it's just cool to think about how far one has come. So, yeah, I just feel so much better now these days than back when I was a teenager, like before I transitioned. I'm just so thankful for the choices I've made and thankful for transitioning. It's been so worth it. So, that's it for now. Thank you for watching. Bye.